an interesting 1950s Bernina 534 straight stitch made in Switzerland. There is also a zigzag version. This one it's only knee activated. There is no pedal attachment to it. It also happens to be distributed in Canada by a Neki Bernina network servicing and sell. So let's give it a run first. So it has about, sorry, camera is doing the best, about the longest stitch. Let's listen to it. One more time perhaps. Let's try to go the other way. It's just a piece of paper, if you don't mind. Not the best, but with one hand. Let's look how it looks. Camera, it's I don't have daylight now, so the stitches are fairly tight. However, I think it has a problem with the lower tension. Again, I apologize for the camera. The lower tension seems to be fiddly in a way that if I release it a little bit, it's going to be too loose. Then the stitches are going to be very straight, very straight. But then the lower tension is too loose. So if I tension more the bobbin with the screw on the bobbin case, then it starts doing zigzagging. Maybe the bobbin case is not the original one, it just has a serial number on it. Other than that, it's not necessarily a very fast machine, but at the same time I can tell you that I did check inside the motor, and the brushes, the commutator part is fairly dirty. It's impossible to access it unless we disassemble the motor, which I don't intend to do. Let's give it one more run. So this is about the maximum speed that it gets. Just a few words about the machine. It has a few interesting things. This one comes with a fairly big extension table. Yes, the camera, it's absolutely terrible. So this is an extension table that's plastic. There is two pieces of plastic, actually three pieces of plastics. This is plastic, this is hard plastic, and apologize, I absolutely fight with the camera. And there is also a plastic gear inside. I did make a video about it in 1950s, right? This one was sold in 1958. This is the original guarantee bond from Canada. Again, it's a Neki and Bernina distribution network, which appears to be just in Canada. I was saying there is a plastic gear inside, which perhaps, I don't know how solid it is, but I don't think these are made for heavy stitching, as in heavy stitching for domestic machines, right? So it's a plastic gear. Maybe check the other. I have a playlist with several videos about this machine. Also, of course, you notice it's a free arm, has a release lever here. You can remove the extension table. It has this interesting sort of ruler here. It's in inches. This is a drop feed knob, and it's locked. It's jumped. I could not release it, and there is no access underneath here unless you remove the bottom, and the bottom is completely different than Singer ones. Singer, you just have a center knob, the bottom comes off altogether like a single plate. This one has many screws, and I think it's also mechanical screws if you want. So my recommendation, don't try to remove those screws. So the bottom cannot be open. There is very little access. This plate here comes off. I have video showing there's a bit of access from this side, but this entire area is difficult to lubricate. There are lubricating points in there because it's a vertical shaft. And in other words, for my opinion, this is very difficult to service properly, like fully service every joint and also access in case of a problem. Unfortunately, nothing to do with this. Again, this is a straight stitch with reverse. Reverse is going to be at the top, perhaps if you like this nice plate, which is metal. And what's interesting is that we have a knob here. This is the plate for the belts. There is 2 belts on the motor, and there is a plate with a knob. This knob, if I tighten it down, look what happens. It's reducing the amount of travel of this selector. So it brings it to about, I think it's about, that's phone's camera for you in low light. It goes to about 0. I can no longer move it up and down, so this knob has to be released in order to adjust this other one, and also this one needs to be removed if you want to remove this plate, which has 2 more screws. The belts appears to be very solid quality and long lasting. This is a rubberized handwell. It's really the same like I see on Hackswarma. And anyway, it's easy to operate, a bit slippery I would say, but easy to operate. On the rear end, I said there are 2 belts. One belt is for transmission, the other one is for the pulley, wind bobbin pulley. So we put the bobbin here. There is one guide here for the thread will go there. There is another guide here, right at the top. Very interesting. And then from the thread, so the thread goes there, there, and onto the bobbin to wind it up. This stud here I show in another video has a sort of a piece of plastic where you can put bobbins, has you can store a few things, and it's flipping like this and goes on the right side. And also it can, because this came with a carrying bag case, that piece of plastic locks here in place when you carry this machine. So it's very interesting design. This is why is this pin. This is the motor. It has 110 volts. It's for Canada. It's just a regular socket in there, and this is the only connector that comes with the machine. And if you want, actually this motor has to be lubricated. It's in the owner manual. It's not dry bushings like later years. It's very difficult to it's fairly fiddly to lubricate. I have a video. There's 2 screws underneath the machine that lift this cover, and if you want this, at the very top here is the actual pedal, is those elements with graphite bits. It's just right here, this bump piece. So it's all compact. The cover here lifts upwards. I have videos about this. I have videos how to remove this, how to access and remove the bobbin case assembly and hook. It's a different mechanism here. There are 2 releasing levers. Again, you'll see my other videos. This is the tensioner. It's very interesting. There's no numbers on it, and there's also no little spring in front. It should the thread it just inside the groove underneath, and there is sort of an alignment here. If the camera will be so nice to help us for once, there is a sort of a alignment with 2 lines. Actually, there's 2 side lines which are stationary, and this one, the center one, which advances towards the machine as I tighten down the tension. And what the owner's manual say is that once you put the thread in there and you just lower the presser foot, then you just need to rotate as to align the 3 lines, perhaps looking from above. The manual doesn't mention, do you look from this angle? There they don't look aligned, or do you look from above? Then they look aligned. I would suggest perhaps try first looking from above, So you just need to align the center with the side bits of line, and the owner manual says that's how you get the right tension. I did not get the right tension this way, but perhaps maybe it's dirty, maybe it's too old, who knows. Have a front lamp, which is very nice, with a nice switch. Carefully, it's halogen, and this gets very hot because the lamp is fully enclosed. You need to remove the bulb underneath, but because of this plate here, there is no way to dissipate the heat properly sideways, so this gets very hot. Also, one of the things which I did show in other videos, I'm not sure if you see it properly, maybe you see this, you see a red dot here. At each lubrication point you see another one there. There are many red dots inside, so all these red dots indicate there is a lubrication point. You need to look for them, rotate the handle and so on. Again, there is another video for this. It's also, I believe it's made in alloy. It's not heavy cast iron steel. That's just my guess. The way the casting looks, it's still casting, but it's an alloy in my opinion. This is metal. Again here, this is again, I believe, a lighter alloy. So it's, I didn't weight it. I would say it's not a tank, it's not a light in any way, it's not a 401 Singer, but it's not that heavy to carry for the size of it, because it's actually, I would describe this as pretty big machine. If you see my hand, this is just the space in there. Look at this. I have a male hand, I'm 6 feet tall, so it's a fairly big machine. It's not, it's I would say describe this is less heavy that you would think for this size of machine, but again, it's not something light to carry. Just be careful, there are several oiling points. This one is very important at the bottom. It's also having an interesting release for this presser foot. I should lift it. This is very interesting and very convenient, which I didn't see in maybe North American models. You just release this lever and the presser foot just detaches from there. I'm not going to fully remove it, but it's very quick, and you don't have to undo any screw or anything like this. This is very convenient. I would describe this, the machine. I did show in another video the mechanism that's inside that allows the movement to be translational here. To me, it's a mix of very interesting engineering and some sort of, I would say, weak engineering. It's a mix of, if not extremes, but in my opinion, as I'm myself a mechanical engineer, in my opinion, it's a mix of both good parts and weak parts, including the plastic gear, but not only. So this is an example. When something like this gets very stuck and you cannot access it, this is not good engineering. But I think it's an interesting model. It makes a nice noise, although you could hear perhaps some sort of a clack from the bobbin, and that's because the tension, I did increase the tension, but when the tension was lower, the sound it makes is just pleasant. This is not something I can describe, but it has some character on it, the sound that makes. The smoothness that it has some character. It's not a bland machine to use. And again, this is going to be absolutely a personal taste, just a subjective interpretation of mine. It has some character, and that's also due to some good engineering, but again, it has some limitations. I will just finish this video by saying that maybe you want to have a look at this knee control. This is fairly neat. you release it from there by let me see, yes, you need to rotate it this way. It's engaging that sort of a pin, and then it locks this pin here, this screw actually. That's how you remove it from there. You can also lift it, of course, and just get it this way for transportation. Yes, I wanted to say one last thing about it. Yes, one thing that this machine has when I turn the handwheel by hand is that at some point, I'll tell you when, at some point there is some friction in there, right here, when the needle comes back. It's not a lot, but I can feel it. I did reduce this friction by oiling around the shuttle. The shuttle has to be oiled around, and I did notice that the shuttle, the bobbin, the shuttle, when you place it back in place, it's very tight, very little tolerance in there. I was surprised. It's completely different than another sewing machine. So this means that if you don't oil the race, just a little bit of oil, not too much, if you don't oil the race, there will be friction when the hook will just run along the race. So it has to be oiled there. That was some friction in it. There is still a little bit of friction. I'm guessing it's because those hinges that are in there inside, which you cannot access to oil, at some point they will get some wear on them because nobody is going to oil them ever. So these are limitations. Just to sum it up, perhaps I feel like I'm going to throw this out there, and I think perhaps people will dislike what I'm going to say. It feels like they put some skilled engineers that didn't have a lot of experience in some areas. Good experience in some areas, but missing experience in other parts of the design. Right, the design it's involving a lot of parts, if you want, not just components, but a lot of thinking and putting together everything. So it's kind of a mixed bag to me. But yes, it's just part of the history.